Hi there, my name is Gabriel and welcome back to Full Stacking with Gabriel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to get started with Azure SQL databases. Now, if you don't know what an Azure SQL database is, it's basically a SQL Server database that is optimized for the cloud. It is offered by the Azure platform as a managed database service. It supports various data structures like relational data, JSON data, XML data, spatial data, and so forth. In this video, I will show you how to create a Azure SQL database. I will show you how to connect to it via your SQL Server Management Studio. I will show you how to migrate a on-prem SQL Server database to Azure. And then lastly, I will create an application using .NET and then connect that application to a Azure SQL database. So let's get started. Firstly, let's create a database. So I've logged into my Azure portal. I've clicked on the SQL database menu item here, and now I'm going to select Add New Database. I'll give my database a name, TestDB. For my resource group, I will select my full stacking demo. For select source, it will be a blank database. For my server, I need to configure a new one, and I'll name it full stacking server. I'll have to create a username and also a password. And then I'll select new. For my options here, it's asking if I want to create an elastic pool. Now, for now, I'm just going to create a single database. So I'll select no. But an elastic pool is basically a container full of resources that consist of a CPU or CPUs, memory, and also disk. If you put a database into that pool, the database will share that resources with other databases in that pool. If I select no, I don't want an elastic pool, I will create a single database that will consume all the available resources. And that's pretty much what a elastic pool is. An elastic pool is very economical if you have a lot of DBs. But let's discuss that in another video. For now, we want a single database, and we need to choose a pricing tier. And I'm going to choose the cheapest one, which is the basic pricing tier. It basically gives me 5 DTUs. Now, a DTU is a data throughput unit, which is a value that consists of CPU utilization, memory utilization, and disk IOPS utilization. And Microsoft has decided to give that combination a name, and they, based on their algorithms, 5 DTUs is enough for a simple database that will have a data storage of 2 gigs. And so basically, once you have your database created and it's in production, there's a whole bunch of tools that you can use to monitor your database. And if your database succeeds the DTU's limits, you can always upgrade to one of the other pricing tiers. So I will select basic, click apply, and then click on create to create my database. So Azure is first validating my input. It's happy with my input, and now it goes off and provisions my database. So let's give it a minute or two to do what it needs to. All right, my database is now created. I am going to refresh my grid here and click on my database to see what has been created. So here I can see my resource group. I can see my server name. I can see if my database belongs to a specific Elastic pool or not. I can see my subscription, and I can also see my pricing tier. At any time, I can upgrade my pricing tier to something higher if needed. On this dashboard, I can see utilization of my database or by my database, and also the capacity of my storage. So this is a very nice view or a landing dashboard, which is quite informative. Then I also have a couple of sub menu items here, which is a query editor. I can configure my database. I can geo-replicate my database for disaster recovery, or just to have a backup in case something goes wrong in a specific region. I can always switch over. Well, I don't have to. My application will automatically switch over, or my database will automatically switch over. So that's where my database kind of is located, in that data center there, and I can select up to 4 additional data centers, and these instances of my database would be read-only, and when there's a problem in a specific data center, I can switch over to one of the other regions, which is very, very useful. All right, so yeah, there's some performance tools here, or performance monitoring tools that I can use, and there's also some built-in performance advisor tools that allows me to have a deeper insight into what my database is doing, and based on the backend work that my database is performing, I can make decisions on maybe I need a maybe I need more DTUs, or maybe I need to look at maybe my queries in my database. Maybe it's not fully optimized, and so forth. So there's a whole bunch of different tools here, which is basically available to your normal technical user. Microsoft kind of says that you don't need a database administrator if you are using the Azure platform for your databases, but that's a debate that we'll keep for another day. So my database is created. Now I want to connect to my database. So let's see how I can do that. So I am going to select my server name here. I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to open up my SQL Server Management Studio. I already have my name there. My login username will be admin user, and then my password, which I chose earlier. I'll select that and click on connect. Right, at this point, the Azure platform is picking up that I'm connecting from outside of the Azure environment, and it wants me to basically configure my firewall to allow my my client tool here to access my SQL Server environment. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna close this, and I will open up my browser and type in here, what is my IP address. I will select whatever it gives me here. and go back to my Azure environment. I'll go to my firewall and give my new rule a name, and copy and paste my IP address, and give it time to update my firewall. And now I'll try and connect to my database again. I'm just going to close that, and then connect again. And there we go. And here you can see my Azure SQL Database Server is shown here with a server with a little blue database icon there. And here's the database that I created earlier. So this view here is very similar to your on-prem SQL Server hierarchy, but there's a couple of features here that are missing because this is not a SQL Server environment. This is a Azure SQL Database Server environment, so it is slightly different. I can manage my user accounts here. Let's see if I can create a table. It's a bit slow, could be my network, so let's be patient. All right, so I can choose column 1, to data type. Oh, it's very slow. Column 2. Yep, and then save it. Test table. And it's taking forever. All right, so there's my table, and it was that easy to create my table. You also have the other abilities to create a store procedure, for instance, a function. So, as I said, your Azure SQL database is pretty much a SQL Server database, which is just optimized for the cloud. A matter of fact is that the code base for your Azure SQL database is the same as your SQL Server database. And Microsoft has a cloud-first strategy where all new patches for SQL Server databases are rolled out first to the cloud platform, where it can be tested properly by millions of databases. And once they are happy with their testing, only then will they deploy patches for your on-prem SQL. So that's very nice. And it just shows you the kind of the support and the forward thinking of this particular technology. So yeah, so that's pretty much how easy it is to create your SQL database, and that's also how easy it is to kind of manage your SQL database as well. All right, so what I'll do now is I'm first going to create my application that will consume a cloud database, and then after that I'll show you how to migrate your on-prem SQL database to the cloud. So let's get started. All right, so for my application, I am going to follow this tutorial, which is quick tutorial where I can create a .NET Core application, and I can create application using Microsoft's Razor Page technology, which is a feature of MVC. And then I will use the Entity Framework core um, functionality to create a connection to a database. This specific tutorial uses the code first migration approach, so that's quite useful. And if you want to go and try this tutorial, be my guest. I'll leave the link to this tutorial in the description of this video. So yeah, let's get started. Firstly, I'm going to open up my Visual Studio. I will select ASP.NET Core Web Application. I'll select the first template, or browse to a space on my hard drive to go and create the application, and I'm going to call it Movie App. Click on OK. On this template dialog box, I'm going to select Web Application, which will be the Razor Page template. If you want to create a model view controller application, you can always choose the other option. But let's try the Web Application template. All right, so this is how the file structure looks like in this new template. As you can see, there's no, well, if you're used to the MVC project, then you probably see that there's no controller folder here, there's no model controller here, model folder here, and no view folder. There's only a page folder, and yeah, that's pretty much what there is. So the idea behind Razor pages are that they are specifically designed for page-focused development. So if you create a page, all your components for that page, like your view, your model, and your code, is all put together in the same location. So let me show you. Firstly, let's create our model. So I'm just going to go and add a model folder, just for a bit of separation, and I'll call it models. I'll add a new class here. And I'll call it movie. And then I will bring in the namespaces here. Okay, and then I am going to create a folder underneath my pages folder, and I will name it movies. And in this folder, I will go and add a new scaffolded item. I will choose the Razor page using Entity Framework for CRUD operations, which will be the create, read, update, delete functionality. So I'll select that, click on add. And then for my model class, I will select the model I just created, which was the movie model. And for my data context class, I will add a new one, and I'll name that movie app context. Click on add. I'll leave all of this as default and click on add. And what will happen now is that the scaffolding technology will go and generate my pages for a for CRUD operations, and so I pretty much don't have to do any code. It will do that for me, and it is also a very nice way to learn this new template. All right, so my scaffolding is now completed. If I expand my movies folder, I can see that there's a whole bunch of files generated for me. And if I expand each one of these views, I can see that there's a code behind page for each view. So this is very, very nice, because now this particular code page consists of only the code for this particular page. And so I don't have to have a controller with 100 different action methods that can cater for different views, which is basically in another folder somewhere in my project. So this is very page focused kind of development, which is very nice, but also it has all the features which I used to have inside my MVC, my MVC development as well. So it takes some time to get used to it, but once you get used to this new feature of .NET Core, you're gonna like it. I can tell you that. So if I just have a closer look at my code behind page, I can see that my page here is not inherited from a controller anymore. It's now inherited from a page model. So each page are now kind of tightly bound to its own model, which you don't have to go and develop from scratch. So it is there. So if I go and, for instance, go and develop, or we'll go and type here public string title, I can access this property now from my view, because this will be part of my model, because my entire page is inheriting from a page model. So that's very neat. So let's run this application and see how it will look like. And while it's loading, by default, you can see that .NET Core comes with, or it supports out of the box dependency injection. So here's my context class that was injected into my constructor, and I have access to my DB context immediately. And also you will notice here that you have by default you have an HTTP GET handler, which is async, and you can have multiple of these handlers inside the space, but based on the purpose of this particular page, you will only need one GET handler, but you can definitely add more. And there's also a support for a post handler as well. And most of the time, you probably will only have one GET and one post for each page, but it is a very neat design, if I can say that. So my application has loaded. It out of the box, it supports GDPR. So it has here the cookie policy that I can accept, which is built into my .NET Core. And yeah, if I navigate around, this particular template is very minimal, but there's a lot of functionality out of the box. If you look at, for instance, at the Ranger pages. Oh, I didn't run my application. I didn't navigate to movies. So let's do that again. I'm just going to run my application. Okay, so let me just go to my movies area or root. So let's just type it in, just enter, and it will show me my index page. All right, so the reason why it's giving me this error is because I haven't run the code first migration commands yet. So let me run this later, and I'll show you a bit later again how all of this looks like. So let's continue with the tutorial. So let me add the code first migration. So I'm going to go to my NuGet Manager console. I will type in add migration. And give my migration a initial name. And what it will do here, it's going to go and generate my scripts for my migration. Here we go. And based on what I already have in my DB context, it will now go and generate my table creation script. Okay, and then I want to update my database. And at this point, it's now going to go and create my local DB. Right, so it ran the scripts inside my migration file after it created my database. So let's see if we can link to my database. So I'm going to go to the app setting JSON file. Here's my SQL Express local DB. I'm going to open up my SQL Server Management Studio and connect to my new database. Here we go. And here's the database. Perfect. So let's go back to the application now. And if I run it now, I will be able to show you those other pages that were created by the scaffolding. Right, so let's try again. This is much better. If I click on create, it's going to create it allows me to create a new movie title. And yeah, this is pretty much what you get out of the box if you go and use the scaffolding feature of this of .NET Core. So let's add some data to the application. I'm gonna go and add the seed data class here. So I'm gonna go and add new item here. Put it seed data. And basically copy the script from the tutorial. And just rename that a bit. Bring in some namespaces. All right, perfect. And then I need to just make my startup class aware of this, the seed data class. So I'm going to just modify this code slightly. Just change it so that now takes into account my seed data class here. All right. And now if I run the application, this line of code here will execute, and this will execute this migration script here, and it will create my database, which is already created, so no need for that. But if it didn't exist, it will create it, and then it's going to apply this script, which is basically, it will add all the data into my database table. So let's run it. Right, so it has started up finally. Let me just change my menu here so that I don't have to go and type in / movies the whole time. Let me just have a look here. So I'm going to go to my view, go to my layout page, and I'm just going to copy that there and change that to movies index and call that movies. Right, click on that now, and here is our index page. And if we now go and click on details, I can see the details of my title. I can edit my title and also delete it. Are you sure I want to delete? Yep, I want to. No. All right, so that's my application, and that's how easy it is to use Radio Pages. So the next step is to deploy this application to Azure, and then maybe also deploy our database, and then make sure that both the database and the application can connect to each other. All right, so to deploy this database or the application, I'm going to publish my application to Azure. I'll click on publish. I will select create new app service. Okay, for my app name, I'll call it movie app. Demo. Then for my resource group, I'll select full stacking, my plan, that's fine. And then for my SQL database, I will create new. Now it picked up that I have an existing SQL server. If I didn't have one, I could create a new one. As a matter of fact, let's create a new one. I will call it movie app demo DB server. Yeah, it will be North Europe. I'll choose the same username as before, and I'll also create a database password or a server password. Click on OK. Here we go. Click OK again. And then I will click on create. And what will happen now is that my app service will be created. It will deploy my application code. It will create my database and also my database server. All right, so it seems that everything is now deployed. The application has started up in another browser, and that is the URL that we chose. If I click on movies now, it should show my application data or the list of movies. And I'm getting an error. Oh wait, I know what the problem is. I have to go and configure my connection string to point to the right. Yeah, let me just quickly have a look at my connection string for this application. So I'm going to go to App Services, click on my movie app demo, and I'm going to scroll down to connections. Okay, that's not the right path. Have a look here. The other app settings or application settings. Okay, here we go. So let's just have a look here. Default connection string name. That name there doesn't look right. Let me just go and look at my app settings. It's supposed to say app movie app context. So let me just rename that. Click on save. Maybe let's just have a look at the connection string as well. Let's just see what it actually is doing. So my user ID is admin user. That's the password that I've chosen, and it's connecting to my initial catalog called movie app demo. So if I go to my databases, There should be a new database now. Is this one here. It's connected to this movie app demo server. It's quite pricey. um, Should have chosen a different pricing tier there. And yeah, so that looks all fine. So now if I go back to my application and click on movies, it should now connect to my database. And so it does. And now my application is deployed to Azure. It's connecting to a Azure SQL database. And this is awesome. Very awesome. All right. So next, what we want to do is let's go to the database that was just created. Movie app demo, and let's delete it. Movie app demo DB. If I can spell right. Delete it. All right, so I want to now deploy my on-premise DB to my Azure DB server. So I'm going to go to all resources and select my movie app demo DB server. I'll go down to Right, so now I'm going to take my on-premise DB and I'm going to migrate it to the Azure DB server, and let's see how that looks like. All right, so I'm going to my SQL Server Management Studio, and this is the DB that was created locally. So I'm going to use this DB, and I want to just rename it, make it let's call it movie app. Yep. Okay, and then I want to right click on it, and I want to deploy it to Microsoft SQL Server or Microsoft Azure SQL Database. So let's go and click on Next. Click on Connection. Select Full Stacking Server, and then log in. Click on. So this database will now be packaged into a back file, and it will use that to deploy to Azure. Okay, so it's creating the schema, uh, and then it's validating the schema, and then it's exporting the data from the database, and it's doing a whole bunch of different processes, but it looks like it's going to work. So I will be able to deploy my application from on-prem into Azure. Perfect. Everything was successful, and now my database should be in Azure. So let's go have a look. Um, so I'm going to refresh, and here's our movie app database. It is added to the full stack server, and which means that I can go and delete my other server, which was this one here. Delete that. Then, if I go back to my databases, I can go to my connection string, copy that, and now I'm going to repoint or reroute my application to connect to this database. So let's have a look. So we'll go to App Services. Just to confirm that it's not going to work as it is right now, let's just click on this link here, click on movies, and it should give me an error page. It's looking for that server, and that server doesn't exist anymore. So we go back, we go to app settings, go to my connection string, and we pretty much only need to change the data source. So let's just it is full stacking server. Save it. Back to the application, and now reload. Still gives me an error. Let me just double check that connection string again. It's movie app. I didn't change that. So movie app. Save. Let's try again. just see what else is there to change. Okay, I might have to change this. I'm just going to rename this to full stacking server. All right. Again. Oh, wonderful. Now it's going to work. There we go. And that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was insightful. If you have any questions, please leave your questions in the comment section below. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And I hope you join me in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.